Welcome back to Black Clover Anime Review, episode number 17. This one I'm reviewing the 67th episode of the anime, a fun festival double date, and the 198th chapter manga, A Trustworthy Human. Let's start with the newest episode of the anime. The newest episode pretty much finishes adapting chapter 102, covers the last 9 pages of that chapter, and adapts the first 14 pages of chapter 103. As the title suggests, there is a double date, and plus we see a return of 2 characters in here, and their names are Hinako, Konoho, and Kisto. Yeah, the brother and sister duo from the Underwater Sea Temple arc. So it's actually just not been that long, because it's only been just 2 arcs since that arc wrapped up. And so pretty much the episode starts off with everybody just having a peaceful day, and all of a sudden Yumi comes in wearing this different attire, basically looking like a Japanese attire, with the Japanese loincloth and the coat and whatever, and of course his usual smoking. I'm curious though, where the heck does he get those cigarettes from? Because last time I checked, medieval times didn't have cigarettes like that. I think they had pipes, but not cigarettes. That's probably one of the biggest mysteries of the show. Where the heck does Yumi get all those cigarettes? He's probably the only character I've seen who smokes. And apparently, no one has a problem with it. And the fact that when he finishes, he leaves the cigarette butts all over the place, and yet no one says anything about it. It's quite weird. He mentions a festival coming up. Everyone has to come. But even though he says he doesn't want to do these festivals, because they have in places like Dead Last, and they have negative 51 stars. Okay, so Asha's like, okay, tells Fenrir, like, I want you to invite a couple people to this thing, and he invites Keristo and Kaho and Kisto, who are guardians of the Underwater Sea Temple, and Asa sees him again. So Asa apparently told him to bring his part of his leg to have him removed, because what happened with that Despair guy, who in the dub was voiced by Patrick Stultz. So he opens up a bottle, and then this stuff comes out, which is the same thing it was used to restore his arms, and he uses, this is a healing spell that was given to him by the Queen of Witches. So he heals up Kisto's leg and Konoho's voice, and she starts singing. First of 2 times, the whole episode she starts singing. And of course, Mana shows up a little later, thinks everybody's on a double date. And it's so funny though that Kisto gets a chance to cling to Asta. And he even asks, like, what the heck is double date? It's so funny, the fact that, yeah, everyone knows how dense he is, but him not knowing what double date is, or at least a festival like this is, yeah. And Konoho knows that Noelle's got a crush on Asta. She's known about it probably since they first met. So they have to go into a haunted house. So Noelle is like near Asta, and she also trying to make him get jealous, like really wants him. So goes to a haunted house and and have Asta be with Noelle, and they go to another room, and then goes up. And here's the thing: they even brought back one of the characters from the early thing. One is part of the Praying Mantis. One of like the only person that's the cap that's been seen. Yeah, this is a guy who Asta fought briefly and lost. Yeah, it lost in 1 strike. Yeah, back in the first arc of the series. He's occasionally popped up. Now and then he's popped up like a few times over the course of the series. He's basically there for comic relief, and like Fenrir, he's a lady. He's basically a womanizer. He's always seen constantly hitting on women. Though Fenrir is more classy about it, this guy is a bit creepy when he does it. He's one of like 2 or 3 characters like I know of in this series who actually frequently hits on women. Asa never hits on a woman at all. As for Konoha, it's for her, even though she just wants to become singer because she's becoming rich. From what I can tell, she's definitely not in love with Asa at all. She is just, well, she's just good friends with him. She doesn't have a thing for him at all, though her brother has a thing for Noelle. It's kind of weird, though, the fact that Noelle has a thing for Asha, and Kate still has a thing for Noelle. It's kind of a weird triangle, love triangle that. Though Asha's got about 4 women in the series in love with him. Not only not only Noelle, Noelle's cousin, who's part of the Crimson Dawn. There's also Rebecca, who's going to return to this arc, by the way, and that crazy scientist woman from the I Midnight Sun, who's implied she has sort of an attachment to Asha. When the last time they met, she did creepy things like sit on him and lick his neck. Yeah, it's like she really wants to get him in her lab and experiment on him. Maybe do weird things, but who the heck knows? But she did appear in the last episode, but she doesn't appear in this episode at all. Nope. Because this is one of those peaceful episodes, though it has a very shocking ending to it. Yeah, and then you have, like, they run into a little girl who they try to get to stop crying, and then all of a sudden Asha is like, can I play that ball? And probably the big ball in his bubble. So he gets on top of the big ball and starts juggling. And then Kisto starts dancing, and Noelle and Koto starts singing, and of course Noelle. So there's all these water things that irritate them. And apparently then they get the little girl's name Emma, and they have Kisto sort of advertise like where her parents are, like where she is, and her mother shows up, and her mother notices like the way Noelle's dressed, like she's royalty from the House of Silva. Like she thought because the way that royalty treats people who are not, well, royalty or at least aristocrats, treats him like dirt, and she thinks that she's going to get that, but no, Noelle does not treat him that way at all. Probably because Asha's influence, basically, Asha's been sort of basically teaching her some stuff, like don't treat people lower, like people who are beneath you, as trash. I mean, Asha is a peasant. He's technically, well, someone who's not rich, but he doesn't look down on people at all. No, he doesn't. He's a magic knight, but he doesn't disrespect people at all. Noelle knows that, and probably probably Asha's been sort of basically the way he's been talking to her, even though he's kind of dense, and maybe his influence is rubbing off on her, not that treat people with disrespect, as all the rest of royals have been. Oh yeah, and the song that Kisha sings, it is so hilarious, and calls him Asha the Superman. I'm like, seriously? Oh, and when manga shows up in the episode, shows a few times in the episode. Second time it shows up with this big, huge can. I thought it was a freaking bazooka. No, it's a cannon fires at fireworks, and he goes Asha, Shrimp Asha, which kind of makes sense because he's the second shortest person in the entire Black Bulls. The shortest, of course, is the adorable Charmy. Though Charmy's like 19 years old, like 4 years older than Asha. Though she has a thing for Asha's foster brother. Yep. So apparently Asha says he likes Noelle, and then Noelle gets sort of embarrassed by that, so she sends him flying. All because he said that. Even though he hasn't exactly fully grasped what he's saying, because, well, he's kind of dense, he's got no magic, though Kita did help him a little bit with the gun. This episode kind of reminded me of when Asha visited Rebecca in her village, and it also kind of reminded me of the Mixer, which is basically a 3-way date, which is a triple date, and Asha is probably the only one who wasn't rude. And that's probably what took and the fact that, well, Asha and Rebecca had so much in common. Though the thing is it just me, or is like of the 4 women who have a thing for Asha, all of them are taller than he is? Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, and of course the episode ends with, well, Asha landing in the middle of a tent. And then he sees his captain getting into a fight with Jack the Ripper. No, it's not the real life Jack the Ripper. It's a character in the show called Jack the Ripper. He's the captain of the praying mantises. And that's where the episode ends. So there's a little hitman thing with Gosh who just wants to get something from Marie. But apparently, because Asha sabotaged it prior, well, somehow, by accident. Yeah, he's seen briefly in the episode, like he wanted to get something from Marie. Yeah, the guy's obsessed with, he's very protective of his own little sister. I mean, yeah, she's an adorable little girl, but the way he treats her is just way overprotective. And the fact that because one time she said that she wanted to marry Asha, despite the fact she's like 10 years younger than he is, he treats her, from what I remember from the episode, she treats him with respect. Like, he treats her with respect. He doesn't, like, have a thing for little girls. No, Asha's not like that at all. He's a kind-hearted gentleman. Yeah, at least he knows not to, well, look under women's skirts, like a few other characters I know of in other series. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this newest episode, newest chapter of the manga. Yeah, the episode itself was just really, really good. Yeah, I personally can't wait for next week's episode, which is called Battle to the Death, Yumi versus Jack. hmm So the chapter, by the way, this is the first chapter released this manga in 3 weeks. Yeah, it's the first one since I think it was the first one since Christmas. This is for Christmas. That was the last and the chapter came out. So let's start with Goosh, where he's thinking in his head with Lucis and Marie. Then we have Asha fighting him. And this fight lasts for a good chunk of this chapter. And of course we have the elves, them being very vengeful against the humans. You know, we still don't know who the heck destroyed their village. Yeah, it's something though. This particular plot point, as far as I can tell, this series has lasted now for 189 chapters, and that thing with the elf village is not been explained. Who the heck was responsible for the destruction of their village? And it was like, we're flowing with power, the elf magic is ours. I think these are the royalty, I'm not sure. Then Goose basically just protects his sister. Asha frees him from the elf magic influence, and they're pretty much back to normal. And apparently, Gordon is speaking normally. Yeah, apparently he's saying Goosh. And I think it's supposed to be. Yeah, I think it's Gray. Gray sort of bashes him in the head by pure accident. And he's like, Marie! Of course, he finds his sister. Like, I'm so glad none of you got hurt. Yeah, well, you and Goosh are safe. He's like, are you kidding, right? Yeah, like we're in Battleground. He's like, he says also, I never think about anyone else but Marie and myself. If Marie and I are safe, that's fine. We only ever join Black Bulls for ourselves. And he also says, I never intentionally getting any all buddy but a lot of you to begin with. After all, by my heart, I never trust a single one of you. And Marie's like, brother, a scumbag like me, you should have left me alone. He's like, did he really say this? Those are those aren't the words you share, are they? And I was like, come on, look at us. Marie's like, brother, damn it. And the guy's like, Goose like, damn it. He says, thanks, guys. They all just pile on him. It's like, what? And everybody else from the dream world just collapses around top of them. Everyone's like pretty much everybody's mostly reunited. And then we have Noelle still in her Valkyrie dress, and she's with, I think this is supposed to be Fenril, who's wearing a, I think this is supposed to be Fenril. I don't really remember. I think this is probably him covered up with his face. Yeah, I think it is Fenril, but why would he cover up his part of his face for it? It makes no sense. Yeah, I know. I've seen the images for the season where he actually does wear this thing, and it was like, okay, the Black Bulls back together. You gotta go cover Captain Yumi, and that's what chapter ends. Yeah, first chapter released in 3 weeks, and this one feels like it's wrapped up. A battle that's been going on for, I think this battle's been going on since chapter like 100, and I think like it's been going on for the past few chapters, and finally this battle finally wraps up. And it looks like, though, that this arc is, from what I can tell from here, because most of Black Bulls are back together, yeah, it definitely does look like the beginning and the end of this arc with this particular chapter. Though I kind of did say that with a chapter that came a few chapters back, beginning this arc, but yeah. Overall, there's like pretty much like 11 more chapters to go now before the release of the 200 chapter series. But that's not the only triple digit number coming out this year for manga. There's also 300 chapter of Seven Deadly Sins. As far as I can tell, let's see. Well, I know for a fact there's going to be the 1050 chapter release for Case Closed, but I'm not currently reviewing that right now because I'm so far behind the manga because I just started that thing. So it'll be a while before I start reviewing new chapters for that series. Yep. So that's it for this particular review. I'm going to do a comic corner next. After that, next will be Fairy Tail. Okay? Produce next review. Bye.